Kia ora, good morning. Welcome to the Punters Lounge today, wherever you are around the country. I hope you're staying warm, you've had your coffee, and you're dialed in because this is going to happen fast and furious here this morning. We have 2 domestic race meetings today. That's pretty cool in itself. What's really cool is we have a guaranteed terminating turbo pick 6 with $200,000 up for grabs. It'll probably go past that. So this morning we're going to talk to some people who can hopefully point you in the right direction. Te Rapa racing on a heavy 10, Awapuni racing on a heavy 11. It's going to be a day where the H is most important in your form guides. The man who knows where all the money has gone is Stephen Hunt from Petone, our bookmaker. And Stevie, first of all, I've actually had a chance to talk to you since you became a father. Congratulations on the arrival of Leo, but no time for sentiment this morning. What we want from you is where the money has gone.
Yeah, cheers for that, Mick. I really appreciate those thoughts. Look, we're going to go for the best back runners to start off with. We'll have a graphic profile on best back runners throughout the legs of the pick 6, but individually each race at Awapuni and also Te Rapa. Firstly at Te Rapa, race 1, they're not going to wait long, punters, to get stuck into the best back runner and flaunting on the back of a Castletown Stakes victory at listed level a few weeks back. Opened $1.75, the 2-year-old filly. She's been backed into $1.70, customers, including a $5,000 bet, Mick, at that $1.70 quote. And there's around about $20,000 invested into this particular pool, and she accumulates around about $16,000 worth. So $1.70, I don't think she's going to start much higher, does flaunting in race 1 at Te Rapa. And Awapuni, race 7, the rating 65 sprint, one that they've spec'd in each way quotes. This is one of the legs in the pick 6, which we'll touch on shortly. Miss Freelove, who was in a very impressive winner at Wanganui last start, or won by about 13 lengths, which they have been doing in the past few weeks at Wanganui, but on the eye was very impressive. Opened at $11 yesterday afternoon, did Miss Freelove, and she's been backed into 6.5, Mick.
Okay, Stephen, this time of year, do we see less early action between a Wednesday or a Thursday into Saturday than we do in the premier summer months? Or is the form now getting established enough, particularly in the CD on the heavy tracks, that people are starting to regain their winter confidence?
Yeah, I think now that the rain's really settled in particular up and down the country, it's about knowing that track condition earlier in the week, and to be fair on punters and also us when we're framing the market here at HQ, that we did know the tracks were going to be bottomless, heavy 11 going into this weekend. There was a bit of a question mark around Te Rapa, would it get to a heavy 11 or stay at a heavy 10, but all in all, Awapuni was always heading towards our heavy 11, so you knew 2 or 3 days out what the track conditions were going to be. So I think punters have been pretty keen to invest early on the back of that information. Previous weeks, just not quite sure where the tracks were going to end up, has held punters back from punting days in advance. But now we get into the middle part of the winter, knowing that the track conditions are going to be bottomless. They're pretty keen knowing the track conditions, what they're going to be, even as early as Wednesday and Thursday.
Stephen, sometimes on a Saturday here in New Zealand with a $40,000 pick 6 pool, it's an adjunction to the rest of your betting day. Today it's all about that, and I think it's going to drag some punters in to Awapuni and to Te Rapa. What have been the horses who have been backed in those 6 legs, with the proviso, of course, that Helena Baby was $1.50 in the first leg, so we don't expect to see too much money there. Where's the money gone around him and the others in our pick 6 legs?
Well, I've pointed out 1 or 2. We'll go into these races, the pick 6 legs, in more depth later on in the show, Mick. But just pointing out maybe 1 or 2 in each leg. Look, Helena Baby picks himself in the first leg. It's whether you want to loan him or maybe take a few insurance bets, maybe a separate ticket around Money Trail Mars Bars. And interesting, those 2 horses map to be in front of Helena Baby, and there is a bit of kickback, which we've seen at Te Rapa in the previous meetings, and Mumps, Money Trail Mars Bars, who are both specced at longer odds. Money Trail, who did the job at around about $26 a couple of weeks back at Te Rapa, if it can sit itself in the running, and maybe in the first 2 with that claim, I'm not surprised if we see honest effort like it did 2 weeks ago. In the second leg, Hitapara looks to start favourite, around about that $6 price again. A last start maiden winner, believe it can step up to 65 company, and leading roll's been well backed in the last hour or 2 this morning, Mick. Leading roll in that middle teens, I think last time I saw it trading around about $13. Leg 3, back it up at Te Rapa. Code Cracker, who potentially could be another loner if you don't want to go skinny in the first leg, around Helena Baby. Code Cracker well supported at that $3.60 quote. And Falkirk Lass, who draws an inside gate and did a similar thing from an inside gate when it won at Gate Par last start a few weeks ago at longer odds. Hugged the rail and did the job against the pattern of the day. Falkirk Lass, if the rail is playing fair, or even. You might see similar tactics around Falkirk Lass, who open around that $21 quote, now travelling at $11 Falkirk Lass. Leg 4 back down at Alpuni, Miss Free Love, which we already touched at the top of the show, 11 into 650, and Otavio, one of the better backed at longer odds this morning. Leg 5. Some nervous times if you're still alive going into leg 5, race 8 at Te Rapa. Symbio's been well supported. Now, key scratching on 1 Madison came out this morning. Symbio with the side winkers on, well supported as soon as the market opened yesterday afternoon. Grand Ariana, who's doing its best work at the line. Last start in the CD has been well spec'd at around about that $18 price. And Little Shirley, well supported last start maiden winner for the Hollinshead team, has been well spec'd at $26. And if you're lucky going into the last leg 6, so you might need to take a spread being an even race. Sea Star, Lisa Allpress, well supported, double figures into that 650 line. Reyes has been well supported also at around about a $15 quote. And Bachelor Babe, who will relish the heavy 11 track conditions. It's had 2 starts on the eye. They've been pretty disappointing, but maybe third up. Punters believe there's a definite improvement there, and that's currently at $51.
Thank you, Stephen. We'll check back with you later this morning for a race-by-race analysis of the markets. Let's check the tracks, though. They're going to be wet. Just how wet? Well, at Te Rapa, we haven't made it all the way to the 11. We've made it to a 10. The rail's out the 4 metres. It's going to be tricky going. You're looking for fit horses. It was -1 overnight in the wonderful Waikato, and it's meeting code 2 for you. Further down the line, we head to Awapuni. They've had some very wet tracks over the course of the last couple of weeks in the CD. It's going to be no different today. We're going to have an 11 coming up there for the Martin Jockey Club meeting, and Bevan Sweeney's going to be on track. One thing about this time of year being 11, at least the track tends to play relatively fairly because it's been cut up all over the show. It's meeting code 4 there, and the rail, of course, in the true position. So we're looking for fit horses, and you're looking for the H in your form guide. We don't have a Hall of Fame here at the Punters Lounge. If we did have, this man would be in it, because last time he came on the show, he was superstar material. We talk about Brendan Horton.
Which of those would be your best at Te Rapa?
I think Money Trail in the last. I mean, his obviously on paper doesn't read too good, but he's back to rating 65, and he's won there over 1200, carrying 59 or 59 and a half, I think. But he's fit, probably drawn the right place for that time of the day. He's another horse that'll just roll forward, and I'd be disappointed if he couldn't run in the first 3, to be fair.
Money Trail on the inside, to its outside, Lockett, and then Rage in the Castle. Money Trail's broken away though. Money Trail and Jasmine force at 100 to go by 3 by 4. And Jazz gets 2 on the card. Money Trail in, Lockett in second, Rage in the Castle third.
Not only was he a tipping extraordinaire on that occasion, Brendan Horton, but of course he won a race in Sydney with Simply Optimistic, who scratched today. We welcome him back into the show. Brendan, thanks for joining us, mate. It's been a very solid last month for you, but you've got a few fans out there now in Trackside World.
Yeah, g'day, Mick. How are you, mate?
I'm good. Just a quick question for you, BH. If we do have a Hall of Fame and we put you a photograph up in the green room for the Hall of Fame, do you want the photograph with the mullet or without the mullet?
I'll let the fans decide, mate. Either way, either one wouldn't worry me too much, to be fair.
Okay, we'll have a poll online. Just Simply Optimistic, not racing today in Sydney, so what's the story there?
Oh, look, he just wasn't 100% during the week, and I just didn't want to risk running him on the track's going to be a bit worse than what it was the other day when he ran, and obviously the race is late in the day, and I just don't want to take any risks at this stage, and just happy to wait until he's 100%, and which he will be in a week or so, but that's where we are there,
Now we've seen you able to have those hit-and-run missions on Sydney. You must have been very interested this week. The announcements coming out of Racing New South Wales, a whole lot of money going into country racing and $200,000 cups and those sort of things, Brendan. Is that what trainers here have to start thinking about, to maybe have those 2 or 3 race hit-and-run missions to try and get those big stakes?
Oh, look, without a doubt, it's... I suppose the hardest thing is to try and find the horses good enough to be able to bring here. It's been 15 or 16 years, I suppose, since I started training, and he's sort of been the only one I thought was good enough to sort of bring back and be competitive in these sort of races. And they're very hard to come by. Obviously, you know, a lot of the stock gets sold over to Singapore and Hong Kong and places like that before they even get to the races. So, you know, without doubt, it's the right thing to try and be doing. But obviously, you've got to have the right horse too.
Let's head to Te Rapa today, where last time you tipped us that big price winner. It's been backed in the last race on the card. Mr. Scallywag is your chance. In the second on the card, and Brendan, not very often you tip a horse who actually draws barrier 22. It comes all the way into 15. Look, he's a Mark Fee. You would think he's going to plough through the mud, and he was good enough here 2 starts ago.
Yeah, look, I think he ran second there a couple of starts ago, and track was just too heavy for him last time at Waipa. So back to 1600, I don't think it'll be an issue, and he'll go forward from that wide barrier draw, and obviously, you know, Te Rapa's the sort of horses for courses these days, and look, he's certainly an each-way chance if he can sort of run up to what he did 2 starts back, you know.
Is that a key factor as we watch that last start, or 2 starts ago performance, to be able to go forward at Te Rapa with the potential for a kickback, and therefore the fact that you're not going to have that coming back in your face, that sand?
Oh, look, I think without a doubt, you know, it's a big advantage to be sort of up there on the pace. You know, I think the rail's only 4 metres or something, so it'll be interesting to see just how wide they get late in the day, but certainly race 2, I wouldn't think that they're going to be scouting too wide, and if you can get a handy position, it's going to be a big advantage for you, you know.
You've also got Rock and Style in the same race, still on the improve?
Yeah, no, look, he didn't handle the track last start as well as what we'd liked, you know, and he's still learning his trade, but everyone that sort of hopped on him said he's got the feel of that he won't make the grade, you know, so he's just a very slow, immature horse, but certainly like to see a bit more improvement today, and he's going to be better again with 6 months under his belt. So
the 6th on the card, Brendan, is the first leg of our $200,000 Terminating Turbo Pick 6, and the money has once again gone on Money Trail. Opened at $23 into 10. The 3 kilo claim for Chelsea Burden will help, but you are up against a horse who looks a pretty serious horse in Helena Baby.
Yeah, no, look, it's it mightn't be the biggest field, but certainly, you know, there's some good gallopers in there, and certainly some nice horses in form. But yeah, look, the horse he's as well as what he was last start, and you know, he's not carrying anywhere near as weight as what he was then, but obviously he jumps a couple of grades, and like you just said, you know, some really nice form horses in the race, but the horse runs well at Te Rapa, and obviously not as confident today as what we were last start for obvious reasons, but you know, there's no reason why the horse shouldn't run a nice race.
Can you beat Helena Baby, or for pick 6 punters, is it worth a small ticket on your horse? Or if you were taking a pick 6, would you be anchoring Helena Baby?
Oh, no, look, I mean, you know, it looks like a very smart galloper, you know. John Bell's horse, and I wouldn't put my sort of neck out as far to say that, you know, we'd beat it. But, you know, all we can do is turn up with a good, healthy horse, which we will, and, you know, hopefully we can run well, but I certainly wouldn't be saying that we can beat it, that's for sure.
Do we include So Much More in the last Te Rapa leg of the pick 6, the 8th on the card?
Yeah, for sure. He, 2 of his 3 runs back this prep, just been on real sicky tracks. Taranaki first up, and then again last start at Taronga. You know, he likes it a bit looser, which it was at Ellerslie 2 starts back, where he ran very well. And he's been a winner at Te Rapa in the past too, so the horse has been going pretty good for some time, but obviously on paper, you know, the form sort of probably doesn't suggest that, but hopefully barrier 1's still the right place that time of the day, and Spratt gets on pretty good with the horse, so once again, he's fitting well. He's been a winner on the course, and you expect him to run well.
Mate, things are going well. How many horses in the barn, and is there room for another one if someone's sort of thinking to themselves, I've got one to bring back into work for the spring? And Brendan Horton could be my man. Any room there?
Yeah, there's always room, mate. No worries about that. But obviously this time of year, you know, your numbers are down a bit. We're sort of working about 25 between Cambridge and Tiaramutu, but, you know, look, always room for more, that's for sure.
Thanks, mate. We appreciate your time this morning. Good luck. We're looking forward to seeing Simply Optimistic back in Sydney, and send us through that best photo you can for our Hall of Fame for the Punters Lounge. That's Brendan Horton. He joined us this morning on the back of an extremely impressive tipping performance last time out from one trainer who's been on a high to another who hasn't had too many numbers out recently, but the numbers he has had out had done the job for David Green.
Thought this is a really difficult race, Thad. Can you give us some leads with regards to the cash that's being invested in this?
Flaunting, Jason. Oh dear. David Green stable. Resuming after that Karaka Million run, which it didn't really have any luck in or didn't really get into the race, but I think it's been 13 into 950 and clearly our worst result in the race. So if you want to follow the money train in this year's Castletown Stakes, you'd be on the David Green, Sam Spratt ridden Flaunting.
Jaeger Bomb, Flaunting driving through. If she's a lady, it's going to be close. Flaunting, the one they back's got up doing the Castletown.
Thad will be feeling a little bit sorry for himself at the racing desk because they put a little bit on early and he was a little bit worried, and he was right to be worried because he got the result.
Yeah, well, a few of the guys got on big time on the Karaka Millions fixed odds, so maybe they're just getting some of their money back.
That was the Castletown Stakes last time out, where Flaunting was good enough to beat, among others, some of the boys as well. David Green joins us now, and David, that must have been incredibly satisfying because that black type is there forever and a day for a filly like this.
Yeah. Good morning, Nick. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's your goal when you start off with any of these fillies, and to have that black type win. You know, for a filly by showcasing a sire who's having a great season as well, definitely adds a lot of future value to it.
How do you go about planning where to go next? Because obviously you have a home track race today. Were you tempted to back off her, then recalibrate her for races like the O'Leary brothers at Wanganui or into the early races at Hawke's Bay, or do you keep going now? And when, if you do that, do you give her a break?
Well, we actually freshened her up a little bit after the Castletown, so she had 8 days out in the paddock after that. The goal was, and still is, to carry on for the rider. And this is really, like we have freshened up a little bit, and this race at Tarapa today is an ideal springboard into that race in 3 weeks' time.
We saw her very strong to the line when she won the Castletown. She's got barrier 1 today. Now, nobody on the show knows more about Tarapa than you do as a local trainer. Are you concerned at all that if she does get crossed early, you let her find her feet and get her breathing right, that she might get some kickback?
Yes, she will. That is a little bit of a concern, and we've actually put a set of pacifiers on her today in anticipation of that exact same thing happening. So should give her a little bit of extra confidence if she is getting some kickback up in her face. But she is reasonably good out the gates now, so I'm not saying that I imagine something will cross her, but I imagine she's good enough to kick up and hopefully sit in the trail. But if there's 2 or 3 of them that want to go particularly hard in a small field, we should have every opportunity to get off the fence and get ourselves in the spot to finish off when we need to.
You talk about the rider coming up in 3 weeks, David. What's the plan after that? Do you back off again and do you look at a race like everybody wants to win, the 1,000 guineas, or do you let her tell you what's going to be her peak distance and, in fact, her peak track conditions?
Yeah, I think, the 1,000 guineas is sort of the goal with every 3-year-old filly at that early part of the season, and that's definitely in the back of our mind. She came up better and quicker than we could have really expected this prep. The fact that she could go and did what she did, being fresh up in the Castletown, and then the way that she's come through that race has really looked to improve on again. She's given us every indication at this stage, that she might possibly be in that sort of top tier bracket. So, I mean, it is concerning, but listen, you can't really keep them out in the paddock for too long at this time of year, or they go the wrong way. So, I think we'll just keep ticking her over. If we have the chance to back off her a little bit after the Rider Stakes, she could probably have another week off again or something like that. But she's got such a good temperament that you can get away with backing off when you need to. And I think while those good stakes races are on offer early in the season, we just need to get what we can when we can.
David, I'll make this simple for you. There's going to be people who are parked up at home this afternoon or the pub and they're waiting for the Super Rugby final and the Warriors later on, and they want to have some fun. And they're going to want to ask you, should they back Flaunting in the first on the card? Can they take the shorts to load up the account? Yes or no?
Well, listen, you always think taking the shorts on 2-year-olds can be ill-advised at times, but she's really not like a 2-year-old, this horse. She's got such a good brain. Barrier 1, home track, the way she's improved for that first up run, she really does look a very, very good chance today. But is $1.70 good value? I'm not sure, but hey, if you find something else you like and you want to chuck the two of them in a multi, she's going to be very difficult to beat today, I think.
David, good luck on your home track today with your stakes-winning filly now in Flaunting. Thanks for joining us this morning on the Punters Lounge. That's Te Rapa, a little look at Te Rapa, a lot more of that coming up later on. On the other side of this break, we're going to be joined by the Pope, not the actual Pope because he's in the Vatican City in Rome, the other Pope, the one, stick around, you'll see after this break.
In the Group 1 New Zealand Bloodstock Avondale Gold Cup, Green Street's digging deep. Valley's having another go on the outside, but Green Street and Robert Adam take the cup. What a gutsy performance by Green Street, the son of Zabil.
That's pretty good out there, wasn't it? It was just amazing. I'd just like to thank Mr. Hills and the owners. Amazing.
You judge it to a nicety, my friend.
Well, I think the horse helped a little bit too. Thanks, mate.
Ain't got time for wasting time no more.
18 years ago since Robert Hannam, aka the Pope, won his first Group 1 on Green Street at Avondale. He doesn't look a lot older these days. The hair's changed a little bit. We'll get his thoughts now on what's happening at Awapuni today. Good to have you on the show, Pope. Thanks for joining us this morning. Firstly, the track. Is it going to be bottomless? Is it going to be a case of you have to handle the really heavy stuff today?
Well, first of all, good morning, the brand Gearin. How are you?
Oh, no.
Had to start with that. Look, this will probably be the heaviest track we've ridden on for a long time. I thought the last couple of meetings have been pretty heavy, but this will be bottomless.
Okay, you got 2-year-olds in the first on the card, and Kelly's Inspiration only had the one trial. I thought it wasn't too bad, Robert, to be honest. The horse who won that trial, Lord Boozeron's in this, but the horse who finished second actually came out and won on debut last time out. So you didn't let her go. Is she a filly who's going to turn up and win a race somewhere?
Oh, absolutely. She's a nice filly. I think she's definitely a live chance in this race. I know there's a winner in it, stablemate, but she's had a few jump outs, and this is her only trial. And I don't know whether you can see, but as we're coming down the straights, we're pretty close to the markers, the cones on the outside, and she was just a little bit hesitant about those cones getting so close. So I think she's a live chance.
She's at $10. Is it one of those races where you're hoping she can do the job, but you're more thinking it could be a third or a fourth type finish and then moving on with it, as so many juveniles do? They take that first run to get it under their belt and then they improve?
Absolutely. Look, get the first run out of the way, and then they should just improve out of sight. Especially with the jump outs are good, the trials are even better, but you can't beat race experience, especially for babies. Look, she knows enough, she's experienced enough to go a really good race. I wouldn't label it, but I'd be pretty sure she'd run on the first three.
We have a newcomer to the CD for this meeting in My Gift, and this is a lovely pickup ride, Robert, because you got a horse here who loves the heavy, absolutely bolted in last start. I know you don't know the horse very well, but when you watch the videos, you must be excited about what you're going to jump on for race 5.
Well, let me tell you, Mike, this is my gift for yous today. It will be my gift to win. I think that'll win today.
That's very generous of you, Robert. Tell us about handling this sort of heavy up north, which is an 11. Is it the same sort of stuff at Awapuni when you head from the north to the CD? Is it a different type of heavy?
Well, all tracks are different, to be fair. But look, the way he put these horses away last start was quite impressive. I know he's going up a grade, but yeah, I think he can win, and because of his heavy track form, he's a big, strong, loping, striding horse. So yeah, I think he's probably my best ride of the day.
Okay, would you take 3.2, Robert, for the punters watching at home who are thinking, look, I need to make some money somewhere to attack this pick 6. It's a league before the pick 6. Would you think 3.2 is fair?
I think that's pretty fair. Look, you got to have a look at the other form, like High Quality. That's probably never been out. Ran any worse than 5th on a heavy track. The top weight, he's top weight for a reason, goes good on a heavy track. And you got Cape de Jour, a mare that's on a way up. So, but I really do think on his last run, 3 and a bit is a good price for him.
A horse who won last time out and actually got its first heavy track win is in the last on the card for you, Johnny Lincoln. He's a horse I've always liked, Pope. He's a horse who's raced in some really good grades. I thought, okay, maybe second up's a bit of a concern, but Lisa Latter's horses are so fit and strong. I think $8 is a really fair price for him.
Yeah, well, I think he's probably paying false odds. Look, I know he's going up a band, but he's dropped in weight. Like he's been used to carrying 60 and 61, and he drops to 57.5 today. It's still a very competitive field for what it is. It's a 72, but he has not looked backwards since his win. He's come on, and if anything, he's probably a little bit cheeky at the moment, the big fella.
Okay, he's a horse we've seen racing at some of the premieres at Trentham during the summer months, so I thought he had to be a chance today. Obsessive, obviously, a very hard horse to beat coming out of that Helena Baby form race out of Ellerslie. This time of year, Pope, for a guy who's established like you are, and we talk about Obsessive, for example, Hazel Chauffeur's riding it, so she gets the 3 kilo claim, and Bridie's got a ride on the race at the 4 kilos. Is it harder for you in winter, Pope, to ride against these younger riders because of the claims, or can a bit of cunning go a long way?
Oh, look, to be fair, a little bit of cunning does go a long way. Now, you have to understand, and the trainers understand because they put the apprentices on, but you're paying for the claim. You're not paying for their brain, their riding ability. So when a horse is a little bit unlucky, or when they make a mistake, they're liable to make a mistake more often than a jockey, theoretically. But see, you can be a little bit more cunning. You can like the apprentices are not quite as experienced as the jockeys. So you got to weigh up which is better for the horse at the time, more experience or less weight. So, yeah, it's a hard one.
Let's talk about your rides for the remainder of the day. We've got a graphic here of what else you're on. AJ Linking, Leading Roll and Last Chance are the ones we haven't spoken about. Of those 3, any of them in each way, Hope?
Yeah, I think Leading Roll's definitely a each way chance. And Last Chance, that didn't get in, so now I'm on That's Funny. And that's not the worst either. I don't know what happened last start. Well, I do. she didn't run very good. But the 2 starts prior to that, she ran 2 very good seconds. So, yeah, and she loves the wet. So I think That's Funny's definitely a place chance in that as well.
Pope, thanks for joining us this morning. Always entertaining and informative, and thank you for your gift in the 5th on the card, My Gift. That's Robert Hannam, who has that strong book of rides today coming out of Awapuni. We thank all of our guests this morning. We're going to get more into the Australian side of things for the next couple of minutes. We'll take a break, come back on the other side, and we're going to head to Melbourne.
just can't miss. I was made for this. I show the world I'm stronger. Prove it to 'em. I am a giant. Stand up.
Williams is going to open up his account early on finals day by a 2-length win. Williams says, go boy, and 60's groove absolutely puts him to the sword. But Craig's on fire today, and it's Miss Gunpowder. Craig rides the first three. Falago in the centre. Williams riding hard. Big Hammer won't go away. It's a head-bobbing finish, and it's hard to tell. It's Falago and Big Hammer to the line, locked in a duel. Magic Consul for Craig. Williams took the front, and Magic Consul, Craig's going to get 5. Magic Consul is the winter champ. Camdus with Just Highfalutin over the top, and it's Camdus. Would you believe it? Craig Williams again. I'm sure Craig, when he came to the races today, knew he had a good book of rides and he'd ride a couple. Now, whether he knew or he could even fathom he'd ride 6.
This day last year, finals day out of Flemington, Willow hit them for 6. Of course, he has a strong book again today, as you would expect this time of year, and he does have the horse we're going to be tipping you in the second on the card. Benny Ascari from racing.com and joins us. Benny, nice of you to get up nice and early in the morning to talk to us, brother. How's the weather in Melbourne?
Yeah, it's been a really nice week. Another blue, cloudless sky here in Melbourne, so a little bit different to last Saturday, and the track should be in perfect order. We're on a soft 5. It wouldn't shock me to see an upgrade at some stage during the day to a good 4. There has been some heavy dew, so maybe we'll stay on a soft 5, but really perfect winter conditions.
It was the Willow show this time last year. He's on the Statesman in the second on the card over the 2,000 metres. There's been a bit of money for it already, 6 into 420, although there has been a couple of scratchings which would have skewered that market a touch. You're pretty keen here?
Yeah, so there's been a couple of major scratchings. So we lost the favourite in Impy, and then we lost the next favourite in Pacadali after Impy came out. So it's actually a little disappointing because I thought those two horses were making the market for us. I thought both of them were a risk, but either way, I still think he's a really good chance here, the Statesman, and kicking off the day for Craig Williams. It might be the Damien Oliver show today, but he lost one of his favourites in Organza in race 1. Thought the Statesman was terrific first up from a spell at Sandown in a pretty good race against Waging War and Mr. Marathon Man, who probably looked the two horses to beat in the day's feature. He's going to be much better suited with that run under his belt up to 2,000 metres, and it looks like he's come back well this preparation. So at $4 thereabouts, or maybe even a little better, I think he's the way we'll play things in race 2.
Small field, 2,000 metres, can often be tricky tactical battles. Won't do any harm having Craig Williams on there. The Taj Rossi final for the 2-year-olds, Ben, is one of the races of the day. And look, you've gone for Ribasaki here, but gee, there's some big players involved here. There's a whole bunch of Hayes Durbanig horses, Chris Waller, but Paddy Payne is one of those trainers who can hold his own against anybody, and it's not often we see him with a 2-year-old this good.
Yeah, I think she's pretty smart, this filly. Wouldn't surprise me to see her measure up maybe at the highest level in the spring if she can continue to progress. This is a race that can throw up a good horse. Royal Symphony a couple of years ago springs to mind. I was really taken by her win. I was kicking myself after the race last start that I didn't find her. I'm not making that mistake again here today. She was terrific, winning in fast time. I loved the acceleration she displayed from the 300 to the 100 to put the race away. And it was pretty soft on the line. I don't think 1,600 metres is going to slow her up at all. In fact, I think she may even be more dynamic off the slower tempo at 1,600. I really struggle to see the opposition from last start turning the tables on her. And on a day where there's a few short price favourites, I thought she was the most backable of them at the price. So pretty keen on her chances today.
Okay, Ben, what else do you like today as racing returns to headquarters in Melbourne?
Yeah, I made Ribasaki the best. I think the Statesman's backable in race 2. And the other horse I like is Not a Single Cent in the first leg of the quad, race 6. He's not favourite. I think he deserves to be favourite. He was terrific in a Queensland Derby a couple of starts ago, running well behind Mr. Quickie and Bow and Declare, which I think is actually pretty handy form. He was a long way back in that race and ran really well. Then he went to Sydney, took on the older horses with a big weight, didn't have any luck on a bottomless heavy track. I think we could easily forgive that run. If you do, I think his form reads pretty well for a race where most of them have just been going around, clashing with each other. I don't think it's the race with the most depth. So he's not favourite. I think he deserves to be, and he's the other one that I like on the card.
Ben, we always appreciate your help, mate. Good luck on the punt today. Hope things go well for you on finals day coming out of Flemington.
Thanks for having us on.
That's Ben Ascari from racing.com. We're going to get in our imaginary Punters Lounge plane. We're in Melbourne here. We're going to go up that way, over to Sydney, and very shortly we're going to talk to Brad Gray.
Yeah, good morning, Nick. We only got a mill overnight. Unfortunately, the damage was already done throughout the week. They were on a heavy 9. Track manager Navesh Ramdani suggested that we won't get an upgrade. We're unlikely to get a downgrade. So heavy 9 is what we're playing on. As you say, the rail's out 9 metres. That generally tends itself to a pretty even track, but you imagine they'd just get off the fence a little bit as the day unfolds, as they tend to do in Sydney when we get these soggy surfaces.
Okay, one of the horses you picked out for us is in the 4th on the card. Monzur Sisu has been replaced as favourite. The toppies out of this one, and Sweet Victory now into 2.6. Monzur Sisu 2.7, but does love the 1600 metres.
Yes, and he loves the wet, more importantly. All 3 of his career wins have come on heavy tracks. I don't think that's necessarily because he's just simply a wet tracker as such. I think he's just one of those horses that tends to go the one pace in all these races. So wet tracks seems to suit him because the others can't sustain that sprint to go past him. He gets complete control on the map here, which is why I love his chances. He's been knocking around in some okay races, at least some good form races. 2 back behind Quackerjack, and Primitivo was behind him. No Escape was behind him that day. They've both come out and won Saturday races themselves. And then last start, in a leader-dominated race, that's the replay we're going to have a look at here. Commander and Tory Joy dictated from the front. Tory Joy came out last week and won by an impressive space. So there's nothing wrong with that form line either. And as I say, I think it's just a lovely race for him. As you say, he loves the mile. The wet track is beautiful, and he should get complete control out in front. So a little bit of a D-day for him, but he couldn't get a race more tailor-made for him is what I should say.
Brad, he's 2.7 with our TAB right now. Do you think he'll be a shortener during the day, or do you think there's a chance he could bounce out?
I think there's a chance he could bounce out just a touch. But that said, when these horses who map so well, it generally attracts the attention of the professionals out there. So he could go either way, but I do see myself maybe just getting a point or two better, but certainly not anything in the $3 mark, maybe $2.80, $2.90 at best.
He'll be ridden by Kathy O'Hara, as will your selection in the 6th on the card. Dr. Drill went to Flemington last start and raced on the speed. Can he do so again here? Because as we know, these Sydney races, once they get up to the 1800 and the 2000, if you can jump and be on the speed, Brad, it's a big advantage because often there's not great early tempo.
Yeah, it's the old golf cart theory, isn't it? You always go at the same pace on the way home, so selling positions are certainly important. You're right, I'm Team Kathy there today at Randwick. Now, this horse is trained by Kieran Maher and David Eustace, and we're noticing a little bit of a trend in Sydney with this particular stable knocking off our staying races, and I think this might be the best of them yet. He's certainly priced accordingly. He looks a really talented stayer, Dr. Drill. He's an import that's hit the ground running in his first Australian campaign, which is a really good sign. That suggests that they're pretty talented because it normally takes them a preparation or two to settle in. He was dominant there last start, finally broke through. He was knocking on the door prior to that. I love how he can do it at both ends. He takes up a spot, can dash from on speed, which bodes well for your chances in any particular race. Now, the query with him is how he gets through this heavy conditions. He hasn't seen anything worse than a soft, and that soft deck was at Flemington, which is very, very different beast to Randwick, as we know, one of the toughest wet tracks to get through. But we take that chance. I think he's clearly the horse to beat. I think you're getting about $2.20 at the moment. So I think if he was on a good track or even a soft deck, you'd be taking closer to even money. So you might be getting a little bit of premium due to the unknown, but I do think he's clearly the best horse in the race.
Brad, we have a gigantic Pick 6 pool available here in New Zealand today. For those who don't get it, Brad, and are licking their wounds, do you have one for us later on in the program?
Yeah, I think we'll go with Charioteer. This is a horse that really relished the wet track there last start. Very comfortable on the heavy ground at Randwick. Lost narrowly to No Doubt. Although he was a long time between drinks, he was a pretty reasonable benchmark horse. He was back in grade that day. Charioteer faces a very similar task here. I think he can only run well. I like that Bare Naked Lady form from a couple back. He was okay in 2 efforts at Warwick Farm in between them. but he did have looked over his chances. Just the way he skipped through the wet track there last night, which has him pretty confident about his hopes. I do like the 3-year-olds in this race. Plenty of cash has come for Lundberg. He's a pretty popular horse, but I think this bloke is the one who really ticks that wet track box, and he'll skip through it. Very consistent horse, gets the right run. He has to be somewhere in the mix again. That's race 8, number 12.
Brad, thanks for your time. Back a winner over the course of the weekend. We thank you for those 3 to follow at Randwick today. That was Brad Gray out of New South Wales. On the other side of the short break, go put the jug on because we are heading to Te Rapa.
I was made for this. I show the world I'm stronger. Prove it to them I was made for this.
Great to get the thoughts of our friends from Melbourne, from Sydney, and of course our trainers and jockeys who have joined us this morning. We thank them all for their time on the Punters Lounge. Now, let's get down to race by race business. First stop, Te Rapa, where as you can see, it's a beautiful day in the Waikato and the track is going to be heavy. We know that. We've got no other option this time of the year, but the man who's done all the form is Brendan Popplewell. B-Pop, good morning to you. What do you make of today? Because it's one of those days which has a slow burn feel to it and then bang, pick 6, 200k. Things get awfully serious when Helena Baby comes out of the birdcage.
Yeah, exactly right, Michael. I mean, that's where maybe the pick 6 hopes will be pinned on that particular runner. Those that want to try and get it beat, I suppose, and see if they can get a bigger share of the 200,000. Surely it goes beyond 200,000 as well, the turbo terminating pick 6 today. But great interest on a very nippy, cold Te Rapa. Certainly when we're presenting from, I think we found the coldest place on the racetrack. But I think we've got a good day in front of us. So there are some horses throughout the day that we're looking forward to. You've heard from David Green. A very big chance in the first race to try and kick it off for punters as well in Flaunting. But not too long ago, I was just able to get a little bit of a read on how track conditions might pan out with track curator and Bart Cowan. Well, Bart, first of all, let's talk through conditions here today. Certainly has been a lot of rain that's fallen during the week.
Yeah, Rob, we've had 54.5 millimetres for the week. 41 of those fell on Thursday during the day, so that made it very loose. There's a lot of surface water while it was raining, like most places would be, but it's drained away overnight, and pentometer reading yesterday morning, there was no surface water, no puddles, and it was just a genuine heavy 10.
Right, we'll go back to the last meeting, 8th of June. It's probably the wettest we've seen Te Rapa in quite some time at that meeting. So how's the track pulled up post that race meeting?
Yeah, we raced it true that day. They did come wide after the second or third race that day, so they used a fair chunk of the track. But it's come back all right. You don't get a lot of germination with your seed growth this time of year. And we had that week of frost last week, which didn't help things either. But we're going to slowly work our way out for the next few to look after the inside for Foxbridge Plate Day.
Okay, so what do you sort of expect the track to play today? Do you feel as though they'll try and stay closer to the rail for those earlier races?
Oh, they'll stay. I think they'll stay close to the rail for the first couple, and it's going to be loose, and it's a heavy 10. It's going to be winter racing, so they'll probably go looking for better ground once they've sort of worked out a bit of a pattern for the day.
Yeah, and certainly we'll do our best as well to catch up with a number of jockeys and certainly try and get their opinion on track conditions, Michael, after the first few races, because that's important. We've got a little bit of time, I suppose, leading up to that first leg to try and get a real true assessment on how track conditions might pan out here today.
Thank you, Rob. We look forward to hearing about those.
He didn't say what.
On to the third on the card. This is the US Navy flag Foxbridge Plate. That's on August the 17th. By the way, of course, our sponsors are Valachi, and they've got the services of US Navy Flag. He was a hell of a 2-year-old and a very good 3-year-old. Very fast horse. I actually had a chance to speak to Aidan O'Brien about him last year when I went to the Arc, just randomly. And he said to me, this is a really good horse, but I'm worried about the wet track when he came down for the Everest. But he rated him as a very, very smart horse. So look, really big bonus to get that sort of sprinter down here. So well done to Valachi with US Navy Flag. Third on the card, we see a $3 favourite in Sultan of Swing. Maybe a horse we probably didn't think would be racing at this time of the year. Stephen Hunt, as we come back to you, there's not many name horses racing at this time of the season. He's one of them. But the 60 kilos, it sounds daunting. A Tiger's on, you get 2 off. Has there been any love for him?
There has, Mick. Look, he's a fascinating runner. In particular, you go back last start on the 8th of June, where he opened around about a $3.80 chance and drifted all the way out to $8 and did the job. and that resulted in a very good result for us in HQ. But at this time round at $3, I think that price is pretty solid. Punters pretty keen to take the $3 around Sultan of Swing this time in the open handicap. With him being in the race and the rating of 94, Admiral's been well placed in the weights with that claim, that 3 kg claim to get it down to 52 kilograms. All 7 wins have been on the heavy track. Opened at $6.50 when betting commenced on Wednesday. Now into that second line of $5 and holds 3 times more money than the current favourite of Sultan of Swing. So Admiral is your decent lead. Just a little bit of a question mark left-handed and form round Te Rapa, but punters pretty keen at the opening line of $6. And one that's speaking at longer odds, number 8, Wrangler. Now, I think it's got something to do with the Boys Get Paid Facebook page, but they're pretty keen on Wrangler at its opening line of $17 during the week. It's now in single figures at $9, and one of our biggest liabilities in that middle range quote up and down Te Rapa today.
It'll be interesting to see how the speed maps affect the racing there today, because there can be the kickback. It's a heavy track and any slow speeds could be punished because it could be awfully hard to make ground down the outside. So will the jockeys overcompensate? Here's what we think is the speed map for the third on the card. And BP, this is one of those races which initially looks easy. The 1 and the 2, the class horses of the race, they should be winning. They both get the apprentice allowance. But a horse like Endoyus or Ticket to Ride, there's enough there to make me nervous if I'm back in the top 2.
Yeah, I found this race a race where I was almost happy just to park it and watch what unfolds. But for those reasons, I mean, Sultan of Swing, as Stephen pointed out, was such a big drifter in the market here. We know his class, we know his ability, and he was very good to win this race. I've marked him on top because, look, he's won 2 from 2 here. He's shown that he's adept in what was very tricky conditions here on the track, and sort of with what was going on with the day itself as well. So he was terrific to win on this occasion. He gets a couple of kilos off down to 58 kilograms. And then you look at Admiral's form and you think, oh, gee, this horse just hasn't done it here at Te Rapa. And you always, I think now, especially in the last probably 12 to 18 months, any horse that doesn't operate here, you really have to put a mark next to, because with the number of runners that get affected by kickback. What I will say about Admiral's defeats at this venue, they have been on a good 3, a slow 7, a slow 8, a slow 7 and a slow 9. So at least he does come here today, and the track is a heavy 10, and which he operates at his best on, because that's all he's won on, is a heavy track, is Admiral. Now, this is his effort when winning last time to the races. He went forward at Tauranga. It was a sort of a sticky, heavy 11 in the end there out of Tauranga, but he just made the most of weight relief, and he was very hard to catch in this rating 82. We know at his best as well, he can win a stakes race, as he's done over the 1,600 metres in a Karaka Classic. So he found his best form here on this occasion, where he was able to get through these conditions well enough. And does he have the right conditions here at Te Rapa to finally put some runs on the board? Look, I think so. I think today maybe he can run a race. Outside of him, yeah, I think Wrangler does have to be a chance at those odds. And obviously the $17 was snaffled because he was huge in defeat here. He nearly won at a big price. So he dropped 6.5 kilos on his last run, and obviously does step up to open grade, does Wrangler, but he does like it wet. And then I've also put Endoyus into the mix. So I could have found a space for You Want More, even though coming back to 1,600 metres, very tough galloper, who just showed that toughness when winning out of Alizé, and Ticket to Ride won a midweek 72 to get back into form. But in the end, I was around the 1 and the 2, but I'm not too sure if I'm actually betting into the race, Michael.
Yeah, intriguing contest, the third on the card. Fourth on the card might actually be the race of the day. A lot of horses here who haven't finished winning in their careers yet. Super G is one of those. Seconds and thirds last time out. The Gibbs Bradley team have a really strong hand with Quizmaster in here as well. So does the Baker Forsman team. They have 3 in the race. It's a really interesting contest. Any lead for us, Stephen Hunt, as we come to you ahead of the fourth on the card over the 2,200 metres? This could be the survival of the fittest.
Very keen on the son of Super Easy and Super G number 4, Mick. Open $3.60, got as short as $3.50, just back out to $3.60 to tidy up that overall percentage on option 639. Currently holds around about 70% of total turnover, a number of 4-figure bets on Super G. The slight question mark, first time on a heavy track, but looks to be peaking at the right time over a staying trip, does Super G. The second best back runner has been the second favourite, number 1, Indigenous Union, second up. 2 of its 3 wins have been in that mode, second up for the Baker Forsman stable. $5.50 out to 6, but don't get put off by that slight drift. Quizmaster, the stablemate of the favourite, has been a notable drifter, $6.50 out to 7. Newly Sukadunas has been well supported, 11 into $7.50. Loftbroke with the blinkers on, notable drifter, 9 out to 10. And a couple of specking in the middle market, Sweet Treat 13 to 12, Top Fluck was 14 during the week. And Where Are You? Sam Spratt, Sean Ritchie, big improver over Staying Trip, maybe wonderful in the minors. Where Are You? Currently at $21 and a losing liability, but a strong lead around number 4, Super G.
It'll be hard to beat. The speed map here, probably not as relevant as to some of the shorter distance races for the day, because this will be the case of who handles it for the longest, up to 2,200 metres. BP, that's about as neutral as a speed map gets.
Isn't it just? You would imagine that Pursuit's the one that probably presses on and goes forward. Did exactly that in an amateur riders race out of Te Araha when last presented. Yeah, Super G, I think despite the unknown about this horse going on this sort of ground, he does look to have certainly a lot of ability. He was tested as a 3-year-old, of course, in the Karaka Mile on Karaka Million Night. They've always held him in reasonable regard. This is his effort around Ruakaka, where he was just locked away in a tricky position, had to sort of work away, come across heels, and was just held up for a fraction. And then once he was able to get mobile, Red Dynamo was up front, and he was the winner of the race. So he's attacked the line strongly here over the 1,600 metres, has Super G, and he's up to the 2,200 metres. I found him as the best bet on the program. Obviously, Helena Baby is $1.50 and is probably a sort of horse you can count as a best bet as well. But in terms of a value chance of a best bet, I thought it might have been around him in Super G. Marked him on top for the day. Indigenous Union is a horse who does go over more distance. We've seen this horse win over an island over 2,000 metres and won here over 2,100 metres and 2,040 metres, and has won second up twice. So he's a big improver in the race, I thought, Indigenous Union, with 2 kilos coming off the back. Nelly Segundis takes her position in this race and is in good form for Nick Bashara, and also runner number 3 in Quizmaster. Just a note as well, Michael, Rowena Smythe will not be riding here on the program, and in this race, Icy Red will now be ridden by Taylor Wen, of course rode in the Monty last night aboard Burt Munro to finish into second position.
Yeah, that'd be an unusual one. I would suggest riding a decent galloper today, and of course having ridden in the Monty last night at Alexandra Park. On to the 5th on the card, and gee, there's been a move here. There's been some money for Super Hoof. It doesn't have an awful lot of experience for Glen Old, but it definitely has the ability by the look of this. And we come to you, Stevie. It's been $4.80 to $3.80. Is it hard money, or is it just, speculating?
I think it's pretty good money. Astute money around number 3, Super Hoof, who did the job in maiden class on this track, and ratings out of that particular race suggest it can win at this level at rating 65 for Super Hoof. Now, Super Hoof and Beaujeu went out $4.80 each of 2 yesterday, Mick, and it's all about Super Hoof. I'm not saying Beaujeu is friendless, but in terms of dollars invested between the two, Super Hoof 3 times more money than Beaujeu. So Beaujeu $4.80 up to 5, still well supported, but just a lot of money around Super Hoof in the first 24 hours to get its price from $4.80 now as short as 3.8. Stilton 7 out to 750 on the warm support on the favourite. Dr. Hank, a horse that likes to put himself in the race, well specced in that 4th line of betting, 11 into 10. Vera Drake's been a notable drifter, 10 out to $13. And Van Diamond winning the Spectre Source from barrier 15 customers, 13, got as high as 16 back into $14, currently a losing liability. But outside that, there's not too much to speak of. Punters very keen on number 3, Super Hoof, to go through the grades.
Let's look at the speed map for the 5th on the card. This is the penultimate before we get into pick 6. We're thinking there's quite a few can go forward here, so it could be a true tempo. Super Hoof potentially one of those. BP, as I come to you, look, it's an unknown at 2,100 metres, obviously. It's up from the 1,600 metres win last start, but it's by Cape Blanco, so you would suggest if it's going to do anything in life, it'll probably stay.
Yeah, and we spoke to Glen Old pre that win of Super Hoof, and he did suggest that this horse is a stayer in the making, and won like a horse who went right through the line by winning by a big margin, by nearly 8.5 lengths here, Super Hoof. So that's why they've pressed up in distance now and back to the same venue where they got it done, 4 weeks ago. So big player in the race, and especially if it's playing to those that are up front and can find that up front position. I was happy to give Vera Drake just a little chance in the race. Is pushing out in the market, as Stephen pointed out, from 10s out to $13, but is a horse that I think will appreciate the distance. Just never got that pinch of luck out of Pukekohe Park when last presented. Does have to work off an awkward barrier draw, but was a horse that was good enough to be around the UK, sort of been placed in some staying races, and in fact 12 months ago to the day was actually running second at Doncaster over 2,400 metres was Vera Drake. So, look, I'll pop it into the numbers. I'll go 14, 3, 7 and 1.
Okay, the next on the card is the race which is probably the most important race of the day for many of you watching at home. It's the first leg of our terminating Turbo Pick 6. $200,000. It'll probably be more than that by the time we get to the final pool just before 3 o'clock at 2:49. And Helena Baby has had 3 starts on wet tracks and has won by an average of 5 lengths. Stephen Hunt, as I come back to you, I can't imagine there's been too much money for Helena Baby, but I know it's $1.50. I reckon it might carry 80% of the Pick 6 money.
Yeah, you could be right there, Mick. At this stage, in the option number of 643, it's only holding around about 10%, and look, that will climb, no doubt. We've seen a trend around Helena Baby at a similar quote in its last 2 starts at HQ and etc., where they've come late in the last 30 to 40 minutes. We see those 4-figure bets, so we're pretty happy to play the patient game around that $1.50 quote. There's around about 900 multis running through him. That will climb close to 2,000, and in the punters' eyes, hopefully a lot of those multis will be alive at the back end of the program at Te Rapa. Look, Paisley Park, notable drifter, 550 out to 6. Back to 7 furlongs will suit this horse, but punters suggesting its ratings early in the career, it's just tailed off a little bit as it's gone up in the grade. So 550 out to 6, notable drifter. Scarfy, solid, 8 out to 850, but it's solid enough that they can cause a little bit of an upset round Scarfy. The 2 that they do like, one of them being Money Trail, which I mentioned at the top of the show, could have got as high as $23. You would have thought we would have learnt our lesson 2 weeks ago, but not particular in this race around Money Trail. 23 was as short as 14 this morning. The money continues to flow now at that $10 quote. And Mars Bars, look, Alan Sharrock wouldn't come up to Te Rapa for a picnic, and he normally targets this particular northern meeting, Te Rapa, and that's been well spec'd. 15 got as high as $16 to $14. So there's a couple that they like in that middle range, which you want if you want to take a spread in the first leg of the Pick 6 out Helena Baby. You could be looking at Scarfy, Money Trail and Mars Bars.
Spoke to John Bell, the trainer of Helena Baby, at length yesterday. He did suggest to me the horse is potentially a Group 1 horse. It won't be seen here. Stephen's good news for you bookmakers. He won't be seen here. Likely to head to Opunake Cup and then head offshore to Hong Kong. He thinks the horse will win today. He's very confident it is at least as good as it was heading to Ellerslie last start, where it absolutely thrashed Obsessive. Here's the speed map. He was thinking it'd be nice and handy to the speed, Helena Baby, and therefore no kickback factor for it. BP, I'll make this simple for you, brother. Are you going to anchor this in Pick 6?
I think so, yes. Because you go through the other legs, where else can you chop it down? I mean, Code Cracker maybe in the next race. Awapuni, no. There's you can't sort of anchor anything in those 3 races. You're going to need some spreads. So just for the case of not having to ring up the bank manager to put on a Pick 6 and take other runners in this race, we'll try and make it a bit easier for yourself and maybe just ring the wife and just say, look, I'm taking a Pick 6 and I'm anchoring Helena Baby. So that's what I've done. Exactly that, actually. And this is Helena Baby when winning last time to the races, wins by a good margin, puts them away. Look, he's got it all, hasn't he? Yes, he needs to be able to position up on speed, because you wouldn't want to probably get back and get all that kickback in your face. That would be one little thing, because he hasn't been at this venue. If you wanted to find anything against the horse this afternoon, he hasn't experienced that. But if he sits outside leader, he's the best horse in the race. Hence why he's so short at $1.50 and he picks himself. So anchor for most in Pick 6. If you take anything else, what do you take? I mean, you sort of end up having to pick about 3 or 4 others, don't you? You're looking Paisley Park's an option, Money Trail, yes, because the money's come for the horse again, great on this track condition, and then probably Scarfy as well. So it's not just a case of thinking, I can just pick one more and hopefully that covers it. You almost need like 3 or 4 others outside of Helena Baby. So to keep your costs down and to keep everybody happy, Helena Baby will my anchor in Pick 6.
Yep, I'm with you. Taking a Pick 6 with my brothers this morning, and yeah, I've anchored Helena Baby. It's really hard to go past it and could be lost to our shores very shortly. I thought the 7th on the card was really intriguing. There's a few horses here with last start wins, which is always nice in winter because you know they're copping the heavy tracks. And Code Cracker has been backed in a little bit, 360 to 310. Is that just money, Stephen, or is that the market tightening for another reason?
A lot of it is the money, Mick. 310 you see there an option 644 off a peak of $3.60. Look, I think it's found its bottom mark, 310, so there is potential this horse could drift. We're just starting to see in the last 30 to 60 minutes, a little bit of action around Code Cracker, but clearly during the week and early stages this morning in the first half an hour of trading, it was all about Code Cracker. But I think, as I mentioned just before, 310 might be its bottom mark. Red Beach, look, it's a little bit friendless compared to Cherry Lane. Cherry Lane sits in that third line, Mick, but it's currently the second best bat runner for Nick Bashara. Opened at $7.50, got as high as $8 Friday afternoon. It's been well supported this morning at 6.5, so maybe one of those horses you want to include in your pick six. Sarah Banda, who loves Te Rapa, 10 into 7, well spec'd, and Falkirk Lass, which I mentioned again at the top of the show around those pick six well-backed commodities. Falkirk Lass, well supported, looking to go 2 on the bounce here. Inside gate, so interesting to see how that rail plays, but Falkirk Lass opened at $21, now trading at $8.50. So overall, well-supported Code Cracker. Think it's found its mark. They're willing to spec a couple, including Cherry Lane, Sarah Banda and Falkirk Lass.
Let's check out the speed map here, but gee, I don't know if this is going to be definitive. It's going to be a really tricky race. There's a lot of horses here who are fit, last start winners, or have had good form recently. I thought BP, this was a leg where, I know it's only a small field, and I hate wasting selections in a small field, but you might need 4 or 5.
I think so. I think if you're just trying to have a little small play in the pick six, and you want to say that you're involved and you haven't quite got the spend or the mates to be able to try and chime in, well, Code Cracker is the horse that you probably consider as a second anchor for the program. This is the effort when presented last time to the races out of Tauranga 2 weeks ago. It was beaten by Good Vibes, who stuck close to the rail, and we saw a couple of horses that were able to do that here at Tauranga and went around at nearly $40. Code Cracker tried very hard to try and pick up this horse late on the line, but I think suited back to here, where we did see the horse winning at this venue, which was a gun ride by Michael Coleman on that occasion from an inside gate. He was able to work away from the rail where they were scouting on that occasion, and she was very, very dominant. So this is her effort when finishing second. Also, Polly Gray could play a part in terms of tempo in the race. So I also thought Cherry Lane's another horse who can position up on speed as well. So there could be a little rush for horses trying to find that spot up front. Red Beach is a horse you can race handy. And then, of course, from that same meeting that we've just seen there, Falkirk Lass stayed close to that rail and was able to come underneath all runners and be victorious. This is Sarah Banda when the pattern on this occasion just changed from what was happening throughout the day, where it was all about being up and in on the 8th of June. On this occasion, we saw horses scouting out wide, and that being, Sarah Banda and also Wrangler, who does a chance in that open handicap, as we've heard from Stephen, where there's been some sizable bets. She can be in or out, this horse, but if she can find this form again on this surface, I think she's a must for the pick six for trainer Jim Collett and Reece Jones doing the riding. So I've got her high in my numbers, Sarah Banda. I went with the 4 on top, Code Cracker. Cherry Lane, I was impressed with how she got through those conditions at Tiaraha. She's one who made in here at this venue. Informed trainer Nick Bashara, and just bear in mind, no Rowena Smythe this afternoon, so Andrew Calder now takes the ride on that runner. Sarah Banda a must. And then I was sort of thinking Red Beach and maybe Falkirk Lass. And like you, Michael, smallish field, but all thinking maybe 4 or 5 runners might be needed.
It doesn't look easy, as does the last on the card. Here's the market for the 8th, which is the 5th leg of our pick six today, the Terminating Turbo. Each of 2, $6, So Wicked and Symbio, but look, there's a whole bunch here of winning chances. Interested, Stephen, in Leitana. Any love for it? Same combination as we saw last week with iGrain, with Robert Prescott and the Trelawney colours going on here. Any chance Leitana's had a bit of love?
Would have liked to see a little bit more money, to be honest. Back around number 6, Leitana. BP mentioned on the podcast yesterday that the same connections, trainer and owners, won this race with iGrain 12 months ago at Te Rapa. So they're looking to go 12 months again, same result, but just would have seen a little bit more money. Maybe we opened it a fraction too short. Be interesting to see how that money trades throughout the afternoon around the UK import. But at $8, I believe it will touch double figures in the next hour or so. Back at the top of the box, Symbio and So Wicked, $6 each of 2. They match dollar for dollar without any clear lead. Look, this race did turn up upside down with one Madison coming out as it heads towards Avondale midweek on Wednesday. But Symbio with side winkers. We saw a lot of traction for this horse as soon as we opened the market. So I think this horse can go through the grades with the side winkers on. And So Wicked, who's been racing pretty honest at 65 company, believe they get a winning turn here. Wooden Edge, well, what do you do? It's been one of our best pals in the last 2 2 years. The first year it was racing, it was in favour of the Punters, Mick, but in the last 12 to 18 months, Wooden Edge hasn't really been on the winning side for the Punters, but with that wide gate, they believe it's not far away from a winning turn. It was opened at $10, with the scratchings got as short as $8 this morning, now trading at 7.5. And a little bit of speaking for Grand Ariana, which I mentioned earlier in the show, and Little Shirley, if you want to boil over in the pick 6 and clean up the pool, opened at $26, now trading at 18.
Yeah, very interesting race. I thought lots of depth here and lots of in-form horses, BP. There's the speed map. I thought Grand Ariana's one they stuffed up. I know we don't see too many Tiake horses racing in the depths of winter, but once it got to the outside last time, it seemed to make pretty good ground. Chelsea Burden will know the horse, 3 kilos off. I think it's a must for pick 6. As I said, even though we don't see the Tangerine Army out and about this time of the year much.
No, you don't. And look, I agree with you. If you've got the spend, throw it in. I think there's a few horses in this race that you start marking off and think, I need this, I need this, I need this. So it's a matter of where you can chop it down at Awapuni maybe for this leg, which will be leg number 5. A couple I did like. Leitana is the runner we want to show you, though, because this is the import, and was a horse who won at the trials and did a nice effort when winning in the inside track trials here when picking them up. So interest around that runner with the same eye-grain connections. Wooden Edge. Well, I mean, look, he's a horse that's got all the form lines, but the last time this horse won, Adam was frolicking through the grass. So just what will happen today with Wooden Edge? Back to a rating 65. So he's in my numbers, and then you've also got So Wicked and maybe Tutela Classe as well, who doesn't mind the wet track conditions. But again, I think with having to anchor Helena Baby gives you an opportunity to try and take a bigger spread through these last couple of legs. Let's have a look at a strategy for you. This is all pre-pick 6, the strategy. I'm going to go with my best bet in Super G, and I do like a couple as a value chance today. Anatolia in race number 2. An unlucky galloper at Ruakaka when last presented. Goes up to 1,600 metres. They've taken the blinkers off, but was very good here at this venue behind Cherry Lane to start to go. Happy to have a spec on her at a nice price. And Vera Drake in race number 5. Has to overcome an awkward barrier draw, but the horse certainly will appreciate more distance, and she never really got a fair crack at them over more distance when last presented. So I'll put 60 to win on Super G and gone each way around Anatolia and Vera Drake. And there's some thoughts around a pick 6 as well. And Michael, we'll pass it back to you because we'll touch base with Bevan Sweeney, see what he's got for us, and see if we can try and tear this pick 6 apart.
BP, before you go, I've got a favour to ask you, my friend. I'm sure you've come across my brother, Racing Carrot, on Twitter at some stage.
Yes, I have.
It's my brother's birthday. It's Lyndon's birthday today. Or Graham's birthday, sorry. Can you wish Graham happy... Can you say happy birthday, Carrot, for me?
All right, Racing Carrot. Gee, you're a beaut on Twitter as well, Carrot, and we love your tweets, and we hope that you have a fantastic birthday out there. Go well, champ. Hope you get pick 6.
Thanks, PP. I hope he gets pick 6 too, because I'm in with him. That's my brother, Graham. He's a good digger. He's an odd individual, but I like him a lot. So happy birthday to you, bro. We'll take a break on the other side. We're heading to Bevan Sweeney at Awapuni.
Gonna find out you can't hold me down.
Getting closer to the start of your racing Saturday. Thanks for joining us here on the Punters Lounge in association with Falachi, and we have a $200,000 terminating turbo pick 6. The other side of it's going to be at Awapuni. And as we come to you, Swedes, good morning. I hope you're nice and warm there, my friend. Heavy 11, and I watched some races from Wanganui the other day. Fair to say the water table in the CD is awfully, awfully high.
It is very, very high. Mick, a very good morning to you. Yes, speaking to the track manager about 10 minutes ago, 34 mils have fallen since Wednesday here at Awapuni, and that's on top of a lot of rain. So I said, is it as deep as it's been? He said, this winter it certainly is. We're racing the short course on the corner. Rails in the true position. He still thought they'd run 119 for 1,200 metres. So that's pretty slow, isn't it? So they will be spread out like Brown's cows across a couple of our pick 6 leagues. Mick, my phone's been ringing. Can you find us an anchor here at Awapuni? Can you find us an anchor at Awapuni? Look, the observation is no. Here at Awapuni with the races we have. I think we might have found one up north, but look, our 3 leagues of pick 6 are certainly very, very difficult to find one to put the big circle around.
Well, it's one of those days, Sweens, where there's a lot of horses where there's 5 and 6 legs, and you can't take them all. But ironically, a leg of pick six, a leg which isn't in pick six, is the second on the card. I thought this might be the race of the day. And to be completely honest, again, it's a small field with 3 or 4 or 5 winning chances, headed by Platinum Rapper and London Express. I thought this was a really good race. We'll get Stephen Hunt's take on this. Steve, as you bring you in, this is an interesting old battle because you've got horses who are exposed, and we know Platinum Rapper and London Express. You've got horses who are coming through like Mrs. Rumble and Akira, who look the goods. How did the punters see this one?
A really nice race. Look, it was interesting framing this market earlier in the week, Mick, around London Express, Platinum Rapper, who would start fave in our particular book. We heard through the first call yesterday, trackside boys were pretty keen on Platinum Rapper at a $3.20 quote. It's drifted to $3.50, and that's on the back of warm support around London Express, who holds 3 times more money than Platinum Rapper. Our question mark around Platinum Rapper earlier in the week was 16 back to 1200, and it's been well supported in the Winter Cup, so we presume there's a bit of gas left in the tank for maybe its second or third up heading towards the Winter Cup, and a little bit more vulnerable for its assignment this afternoon. But look, not freeness Platinum Rapper, but in terms of dollar invested matched against London Express holds 3 times more money than Platinum Rapper. Miss Rumble's been well supported in that third line of betting, 5 into 460, and Booty Lara also well spec during the week off a peak of $9 as short as 650, and that's resulting in Akira being a notable drift of 550 out to 7. So your best lead is round number 2, London Express, but I think this market's got a little bit to play out between now and race close.
Yeah, I think they'll come for one or the other at the top of the market, but there's a lot more depth than that. And speed map here is interesting, Sweens, because I can see them not going a huge gallop here the first 400 or 600 metres, and that could be really tricky. This could be a race where being one pair too far back could cost you a win.
Yes, it's going to be also that case, Mick, of if you handle it, you're probably going to be going forward at the right time on these sort of track conditions. So, look, I did the form on this one. Platinum Rapper came out as my top selection and clearly on top. Look, London Express is a very, very smart filly. I know Ellen has had a slight niggle with London Express, and that just means to me that I can watch today and probably go at the next start. Hazel's a board getting it down to 54.5. These are our best sort of mile open handicap horses in the country, or in the CD more accurately. You've got Rosewood, you've got She's Poppy, you've got Dolcetto, and Taurus, who went really nicely at Otaki at its next start. So for the 3-year-old filly to step up to Wait for Age Company and to be right in the mix against these horses, and look how far they are clear of the remainder of the field, and that is Scarpolo back there in the field, says to me she's got all sorts of quality, and she'll be a big player in the Winter Cup. She'll sneak in there in an absolute featherweight, so look out for her to be a big player. And here's London Express. This is the second now. We probably expected her to win this day. Now, Deerfield is a smart horse. He's been scratched here this afternoon, and it got in a forward position, got to the right part of the track quickly, Deerfield, and kept up a very, very strong gallop. Now, London Express was good. It hit the line nicely, sectionally on a day when you can't take a lot out of the sectionals. It hit the line well enough. I did expect it to pick them up and go on by Deerfield, but Deerfield has had a very good preparation. You've got a nice horse in King Cougar there as well, so the form is pretty strong here. London Express was good enough, but I just know Alan mentioned to me maybe 3 weeks ago that he just found something off with London Express, so he's been scratching his head a fraction. You trust him that he gets this horse back to the races in fine fettle, so there's no doubt London Express will run a race, but I just have a suspicion that she might have missed a little bit of work coming into today, and there's some pretty big assignments for London Express going forward, so I'd tread lightly with London Express. So therefore, with Platinum Rapper's form and Wait for Age Company, I've gone with it over London Express. Look, I thought Akira was super impressive in that maiden win here at Awapuni, bidding home Tavi's Court, who's come out and absolutely margined its field at its next start. So the form's okay there. And look, Booty Lara. Now, the only question mark for me here is I'm not sure Booty Lara's an apprentice's horse. Bridie's a young lady. She's getting the weight off the back. Not the easiest of rides, Booty Lara. It is a very talented horse, and I see the money has come for it, and it's been rock solid, this preparation. I marked the 1, 2, 6 and 4, and I'm keen enough to have Platinum Rapper as my bet of the afternoon.
Okay, good information there, because Jonathan Parks is riding up a storm, and as we talk about Jonathan Parks, coming back to the third on the card, Stephen Hunt, at the moment if I'm backing in the CD, and I know there's some good apprentices there, but the way that both of them are riding, Lisa Allpress and Jonathan Parks, I'm just looking at races and saying, right, which one of their twos do I want to back? That seems to be the case here in the third on the card.
And that represents their price in today's J Challenge, Mick. $2.15 J Parks, our All Press $1.30. So they really do dominate the J Challenge today at Awapuni. Well, interesting race again, comeback from all accounts, looking to target the Winter Cup as is Platinum Rapper, as we've already touched on. So there is a little bit of vulnerability around comeback and how forward it is for this assignment. But look, it's well supported without taking off in its previous 3 or 4 starts where it's been clearly the best back runner. $2.60, got as short as $2.40, back out to $2.60. I wouldn't be surprised if it went somewhere between its $2.60 price and $3.30 on the win tote. So look, I think there is a possibility that it could get out closer to $3 in the $2.50 mark. She's Poppy, well supported at $4. Again, overall, there's only 5 in the race, but there's no strong lead here. King Cougar's been, again, matching the dollars that come back and She's Poppy have been invested in. So King Cougar, even though it hasn't won past 1,200 metres, well spec'd at $4.20. And Dougie, I'm not going to mention this race without Dougie having a little plug. Opened it looking at Dougie's price, $14 on Wednesday, as short as $11 this morning, now trading at $9.50. Side winkers go on, tongue tie go on, Dougie. So look for improvement second up for that horse, which we know this time last year was good enough to be sent to Sydney. So that might be the ball over in a race that lacks a little bit of size, but definitely there's quality there.
Yeah, interesting field and small field, meaning therefore there could be a little bit of a lack of tempo because there's not too many to get rolling early. Here's how we see that early rush out of the gates, and here in Galway and Comeback. As we come back to you, Swedes, he's a hard horse not to love, Comeback. I know he was beaten last time out, but he's just a lovely big horse who puts his head down and he tries hard. Because he's so big, you sort of think he's going to cop 60 kilos, but he's giving She's Poppy an awful lot of weight.
Yeah, that's the factor. Look, those two are going to eyeball each other, aren't they? Comeback in here in Galway. Which one do you want to go to war with? I think that's clearly Comeback, even with the 6 kilos against. Lisa Allpress is a very talented rider. I thought this was an amazing performance, Mick, this day at Trentham. Look, Dr. Watson got in on the lightweight. They went forward because they wanted to make sure they weren't too far away from the Baker and Forsman horse down towards the inside, the big mare, and she didn't go astride down towards the inside with the apprentice aboard. So then he's a sitting duck. But my word, did he throw it away? Not one stride of this Trentham home straight on very tough conditions. And the lightweight with Dr. Watson, who's a favourite of mine as well, picks him up late in this, but how brave is this horse? You don't want to look sort of below his chest because his legs aren't pretty, but his heart is there, his attitude's there. He pins those ears back again when Dr. Watson comes up next to him, and he just finds again to the line. So I don't doubt this horse. You've made the right assessment though, Mick. She's Poppy at that price is absolutely right on the money for me. I was very keen on her 2 starts ago here at Awapuni. I thought she was disappointing. She finished off nicely enough against Hinirangi, who's a quality mare. She went to Wanganui and I thought very, very good. So Comeback isn't at the right price for me. She's Poppy is. So she will go on top over Comeback. I thought outside of that, Hirangawi is a nice horse. And look, King Cougar hasn't quite got to the mark I've thought this winter. He's still on target for the Winter Cup. He's at 1,400 metres. He's getting a lightweight on his back, so he's got to be a competitor. But I really do like the top 2 in the market here, Comeback and She's Poppy, but she's the one at the right price.
It's a gnarly little race. Really looking forward to that. The 4th on the card. 5th on the card is the one we had before we get involved in the pick 6. And if you were listening earlier, and if you weren't, I want to know what you were doing. Robert Hannum, who gets the catch ride on My Gift, said, "Punters, this is my gift to you." 3.2. Now, Stevie, that's actually on the drift from $3, but I take it that's just you guys taking some percentage out of the market and tightening things up?
Yeah, absolutely bang on. Don't get put off by the slight drift, but I think it's found its mark. In fact, overall, this market is very, very solid since we opened on Thursday, Mick. My Gift 3 out to 3.2. Robert Hannum does the riding, very confident around his chances on My Gift, who paid big odds last start up north. I think punters were hoping it needed one more and then they might get a nice each way quote this time in, but as it turned out, he did the business last start and you're getting $3.20 for its chance this afternoon. A high quality, 480 solid in that second line of betting. Gianqua, first time over a trip, but being by Kate Blanco, you'd think pedigree, no trouble over 2,000 metres, well spec'd, 650 into 550, so in 1 full point. And Cape de Jour, Back over trip, went back to 1,500 metres last start, maybe just found them a bit sharp over a staying trip. The local Cape d'Azur has been the second best back runner, even though it fits into that fourth line of betting. Could have got as high as $8. I know Jason Tan was very keen on this runner yesterday on the first call. He's got a few followers here. It's been backed into $6. So my gift, best back runner. Second best backed is Cape d'Azur, 8 into 6.
As we head to the speed map for the 2100 metre event, the fifth on the card, gee, it was good last start, my gift. It's a relatively neutral speed map, as you would pretty much expect for this grade of horse. You're not expecting too many to be going crazy out of the gates on a heavy 11. But coming back to you, Sweens, I thought a repeat of that last start performance, it probably wins. But there's a few new tricks to this. Obviously, it's a bit harder when you come down the line and stuff. But here's Cape d'Azur, a horse who's from the region, and I thought was really good here in a good field last start. But I'm not sure this form's any better than my gift's form.
Oh, I wouldn't say it's any better, but what I would say is that Lisa gets back aboard this horse after riding it 2 starts and goes with it after it drew inside, which gave it absolutely no chance 2 starts ago at Trentham. So this just suggested to me that this horse is coming back to it. It put a couple of good staying winter track wins together last preparation. Look, you won't see a more impressive mare. She really cuts a pretty picture, this 5-year-old mare by Nom de Jure. Look, I think she'll swim today and she gets that senior hoop back aboard. The gate's good enough if she shows a little bit of early zip as she did on this day that she can find her mark. There's no better rider, I think, across the country, in my opinion, about finding the right part of the track condition than Lisa Allpress. You just saw it again at Wanganui on Thursday. She can find the right spot when these tracks are off, and I think she'll do that with Cape d'Azur. So I'm willing at $8 to have a good look. At $6, I'm still willing to have a decent look. Outside of that, I thought Pecoris, look, this horse has been a bit forgotten in the market. It gets 3 kilos off its back. I know the first 2 starts haven't been awe-inspiring, but I still think it's got the quality to be a major player here. My gift, yes, I saw this horse win here. I didn't have it in my numbers that day, and Mace gave me a bit of a serve. So it's certainly in the mix this afternoon, and it was a very good winner here on a wet one. Sort of led up and just kept on rolling under, who was it, Robbie on that day? I'm not 100% sure, but possibly Robbie. And look, Master Pat is a horse I've followed for a long period of time. It's very, very injury prone, this particular horse, but if it got back to its best, it'd be right in the mix. But I was very keen around the 6, 1 and 2 here in race number 5, Mick.
Thanks, Weens. Things get serious with the next on the card. It's a second leg of our terminating Turbo Pick 6. If you are just joining us, $200,000 guaranteed. It could well be more. It's got to go. Has to go today. So if you want to play, this is the second leg. We think we've got an anchor in the first leg, Helena Baby, race 6 out of Tarapa. This, not so easy, but Stephen Hunt, the pointers have been from the punters toward the Seagull and Hinapara. Again, we're talking about the consistency of this money coming for horses ridden by either by Jonathan Parkes or Lisa Allpress. On this occasion, it's Jonathan.
Yeah, personally, I find this the most difficult leg in the pick 6 this afternoon, Mick. And look, there's no real strong lead. Hinapara has been well supported without getting carried away. 6 into 5. The Seagull, you mentioned Jonathan Parkes, is at a default bet in terms of the jockey rather than the horse. Remains to be seen, but drawn barrier 14, whether that's an advantage or disadvantage, we'll know later in the day. 7 into 6. Hurricane, Bridie Ansell jumps on this horse. Had no jockey this time yesterday, but Bridie gets the claim down to 56 kilograms, well spec'd at 6.5. Grinner, who was spec'd at longer odds last start and did the job in the last race. Look, it stays in the same grade up in weight, but not friendless, 9 out to 10. A little bit of specking around leading role, which I mentioned again at the top of the show. Opened at 13, got as high as 16, just back into $13. Probably one of the best back runners in this particular race this morning has been leading role. Little question mark on the heavy track, but punters believe at that odds it's worth a chance.
Speed map over the 2100 metres for the rating 65 horses looks a little bit like this. We're thinking He's Rick is by far and away our most likely leader, but Sweens, I have absolutely nothing to say about this. Over to you, brother, because this is a leg I think we took 8 or 9 in.
I wish I didn't have to say too much about it either, Mick, to be honest with you, because it's an absolute nightmare. Where did I look in the end? Look, I was very keen Hurricane because this is a dead set swimmer, but there was no jockey declared when I was doing the preview yesterday on the podcast, and now I see Bridie Ansell is doing the riding. Now, the weight relief is wonderful, but he's not the sort of horse you can sit back and just relax on. You need a good, strong rider to wind this horse up. It's had Sean Mackay and then Emma Quinn rode in the amateur race, so that just concerns me a fraction from that draw. It's going to get well back in the run, and maybe Bridie's not the perfect match, but the weight may just be a big enough assist to see Hurricane home. It's on top with not a lot of confidence at all. Grinner, it gets to 60 kilos, and it's not a weight you want to be taking many horses with in these sort of track conditions, but it did win nicely here on a heavy 11. So horses for courses, it's won here on heavy track conditions, and it was very good. It beat a little bit green late in that race, so it's in the mix for mine. Look, 14 Hinny Para, since I handed over the ownership to another group, has grown another leg and was very good at Wanganui. Let's hope she can do it again. She was super dominant, but I'm not sure what you can take out of these performances at Wanganui. You know the winner at the 800 metre mark. They take off, they travel to the outside fence, and they generally win by 15. Whether the form's going to stack up going forward, I know Scarlowy came out of a Wanganui win and won at Hawke's Bay, but that's a different horse. He's going to go into open handicap grade Scarlowy. I'm not sure Hinny Para will be, but she just won so well, you have to put her somewhere in the mix. And if Leading Role put his best foot forward, he would win this race for fun, because he's got all the ability to be winning a race like this. He doesn't have a heavy track record that recommends him strongly. He missed last time behind Centures at Hastings on better track conditions. He was better prior to that behind Happy Star. So I went 6-1, 14 and 8, but if you are going for that 10% ticket, take as many as you can. Look, if Helena Baby gets beaten, it's a 10% ticket anyway, so spread your money as far and wide as you can in the first leg here.
Yep, thanks for that definitive analysis, Sweens. We did the same thing. We just took a whole bunch on our ticket and threw some darts at the dartboard, and good luck if you're having a crack at that leg of pick 6, but hey, Helena Baby could be a anchor, so we could maybe go really wide there. You might even take the field. Might give you a chance. 7th on the card is again not easy, and often one of the toughest jumps for the gallopers is from the maidens to the rating 65. You can be a maiden one week and you can be up to taking on 5 win horses who are out of form the next start. Miss Freelove is one of those, Stephen Hunt, but it hasn't bothered the punters. They've jumped on here after the big win last time, even though it's fresh out of maidens.
Clearly the best market mover at Aupuni this afternoon, number 12, Miss Freelove. She took 12 starts to win. And Sween's mentioned how you take a line in those victories at Wanganui in the last 2 to 3 weeks, but won by 8 lengths at Wanganui. They're backing up their money because it was well spec'd at a nice each way quote at Wanganui a few weeks back. $11 we offered punters yesterday. It's been backed into $6.50 in that second line of betting. Not 100% confident who will start favourite between Shadow Dancer, Manhattan Flame, Miss Freelove, and even Tell You What, who's on the quick backup back to 1200, had no luck at Hawke's Bay 7 days ago. Shadow Dancer, well spec, $6, unbeaten on a heavy track. Manhattan Flame, there's your little market mover outside Miss Freelove in terms of the top 3 in the book. Open to $8, trading at $6. If I had to give some little push who I thought would start favourite, it would be Manhattan Flame from barrier 10. Tell You What, I mentioned on the quick backup, not friendless at 6.5. Miss Freelove we've already touched on. A little bit of specking around Otavio, 13, got as high as 16 back into 14, and that's funny from a wide gate. I think it's crucial for this horse. It doesn't like to be hunted inside horses and inside gates. It likes the clear air and the freedom, and that's funny. Even opened at $11, got as high as 17, bought back into $15. Don't leave out of your pick 6 if you've got the cash to do so. But yeah, interesting race. Manhattan Flame, slight lead in terms of the favourite horses, but spec'd and market movers, number 12, Miss Freelove.
Speed map for this one over the 1200 metres, and obviously they'll be trying to get to the outside as quickly as they can. Coming to you, Sweens, it's one of those races, you know, sometimes you fall in love with the horse for no reason. You don't really think it's that good, you just like them. I've got one in this race, and I've included it in pick 6 for that reason. Liquid Inspiration. I don't know why, just one day it caught my attention, and I like her. She's a 7-year-old mare. She's probably not that good, but I can't leave her out of pick 6.
Got her in 3, Mick, because the wet track record's just strong enough to say that if you take the balance of probabilities, this horse is going to handle these track conditions and therefore put itself in the mix. I think for me here, you go with a gut feel at times, because form analysis can become very, very difficult here, and that just leads me to the top of the book as a possible anchor in pick 6 here, and Tell You What. This horse has been very unlucky, I know, on track conditions that are nothing similar to today, but the run behind Scarfy was good, a tragedy beaten really, and the run at Hastings behind a very smart horse in Scarlowy was also good. They're in 72. The horse is dropping back to 65 grade. Hazel will know the horse well. It's getting 3 kilos off its back down to 57 in this grade. I went back through its heavy track form. It won at Trentham on a heavy 11. I think they're vaguely comparable, although it is very difficult to compare heavy 11 to heavy 11. It beat Miss Lizzie on that day, who has come out this preparation on very wet tracks and been very, very good. So my gut is telling me if I don't just put the ring around Tell You What, then I'm in trouble because the spread is wide outside that. Kirkland is a wet tracker, went very well fresh behind Scarlowy. I'm going along those form lines. Yes, I have Liquid Inspiration. I think it is a very good wet track horse. And I don't know a heck of a lot around Shadow Dancer, but Lisa Allpress is an assist. The draw is perfect. Stephen Marsh is an ace trainer, and it's won 2 from 2 on a heavy track condition. So that are my 4, or they are my 4 rather. But there may be a ticket for me personally that anchors Tell You What in this pick 6.
Ooh. Okay, I think there could be potentially an anchor in the last leg as we come back to Stephen Hunt for market analysis of the 8th on the card. This is going to be a nervous time. This is the last leg of pick 6, and Steve, I really like Obsessive. I know it's not over the line. I know it's not going to just be too good for them. I liked it from the first time I saw it at the trials for Clayton Chipperfield. I think Hazel getting the 3 kilos off is a big help, and you take Helena Baby out of that race at Ellerslie last start, and it's been some pretty nice horses, pretty darn convincingly. Don't think the better track actually suited at Ruakaka last time. I think it's clear top pick, and I'm willing to go half my ticket on it and then another ticket with maybe 4 or 5 others. How does the market see this, the last on the card?
You'd think it'd be natural improvement as well. Mick hadn't had a race for 12 months before it was first up at Ellerslie. Third up, you'd still think there's that natural improvement around Obsessive. Look, 280, if you want to back into final field market before you're eyeing up what to do in pick 6, I think 280, it's found its bottom mark and there's potential it could touch that $3 line. In terms of pick 6, if you don't loan it, then you've got to take 4 or 5 runners because they're willing to spec 4 or 5 around it. One of them being C Star, 12 into $6.50, so almost half its quote C Star with Lisa Allpress doing the riding. Foiling, 8 into 7.5. Johnny Lincoln, 750 out to 8, so that's a drifter. And plenty opposing Dizella, even though it was pretty impressive in lower grades. 550 second favourite during the week. It's now out to $8, so it is cold. Cannot ride a ticket on the Jonathan Parks ride on Dizella. Rias has been well supported this morning, the first 2 to 3 hours. Probably one of the better back runners in this particular race today has been Reyes, 13 to 12. A little bit of specking round Detentore. This time last year was winning them for fun, but this time in just hasn't quite struck the form, but does like a heavy track, $23. And Bachelor Bay, blinkers go on, looks your obvious leader here. I think the tactics will be trying to run them into the ground and third up. Don't leave this out on paper, you wouldn't have it, but from what I'm seeing, there's plenty of money around that $51, $60, $61 quote around Bachelor Babe.
Here's where they might land in the last on the card, the nerve-wracking leg of pick 6. I hope you're still live. I'd love to be. Sweens, look, I'm going to take one ticket with Obsessive. I just think he's a really nice, strong son of Darcy Brahma. They were giving the horse time. I've liked him from the first time I saw him at the trials. I think today is a perfect race for him, but that's one ticket, and then I'm going another ticket. Is that silly, or is that a strategy you can buy into?
I think you can buy into that strategy. I would be terribly uncomfortable if I just had Obsessive on my ticket with the horse coming off a dead 5 the other way around at Ruakaka. In fact, the last couple of starts have been the other way going. The win on the heavy track at Ellerslie, they went 128. Well, they'll run 132, so it's going to be a 4-second difference. So that's got to be a little bit of a niggle for you. Yes, the Helena Baby form is there, and that is obviously very, very good winter form across the country. So your reasoning's great to have that one ticket with Obsessive. Hazel Chauffeur won't have sat on this horse, so that's obviously another little niggle for mine, but she is a very talented young lady. So, look, I'm not going to put it on top. I'm actually going to put the 7 Johnny Lincoln on, just for the value market for me. Look, Obsessive's the one if you're ranking one, but I thought Johnny was really, really tough here over 15.50 fresh up this preparation. He deserved to get beaten that day. Like, he did all the donkey work and he just kept on rolling. So, Robbie Headams, that's his sort of ride. It's drawn 13 in the race. It'll be in the right part of the track. It'll be on speed. And he's a big, strong horse now, this Johnny Lincoln, and he'll keep rolling through this ground. Over the 4, Obsessive. Outside of that, I went with the 13, which is Dizella. Look, I'm not really sure why there's no tickets coming for this horse. It did tie up post that first win. So Robbie had a couple of issues. He took it to Otaki very confident, and it was very, very tough. Very, very tough that day, beating home Manolo, who was very, very good in winning his previous start. So I think the form lines are okay there on the 13. And then the 5. Look, if Go-To Man turned up at his very best, he'd be right in the mix here. He's getting weight off his back down to the 53. But look, it's one of those races again, Mick. If you don't have Obsessive stood out, where do you not go? Sea Star won nicely last time. Bachelor Babe is good enough wet tracks. D10 Tory, we know his ability. He's just not there mentally. Lord Turbo won his first 2-year-old race of his career on a wet one and ran 4th in a couple of guineas here before going to Hong Kong. Well, foiling. I did have a chat to Alan Sherrick and he was pretty keen about foiling, really handling these track conditions. So you're either all in or you just put the big ticket around Obsessive here in the last leg of pick 6.
All right, Sweens, it can't just be about pick 6, even though we want it to be today. What's your strategy? Because I know you're pretty keen on the toppy and the second on the card.
It's all about Platinum Rapper for me this afternoon. I think by the latter part of the race meeting here, this track is going to fly to absolute paces, and it's all going to be about how you track into the race and which part of the track you get to. So I'm just going to put the whole 100 on Platinum Rapper. Whole 100 on Platinum Rapper at whatever price she is at the present moment. So, yeah, we'll just stand it all out on Platinum Rapper. I think that weight for age form is going to be pretty strong in race number 2.
6 kicks off at $2.49, terminating $200,000. It's got to go today. It's turbo, so we're going backwards and forwards. Let's increase the IQ of this conversation by at least several points by bringing Brendan Popplewell back in. B-Pop and Bevan, simple question for you both. Do we have to anchor Helena Baby in the first leg so we've got some more room to play later on?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Double yes. Yeah.
Cool. Good chat. On to the next on the car. We'll start with you, Bevan. This is a really tricky leg.
It is. I mean, look, I just went through these fields endless times saying, can I find one for the punters? And I just couldn't. Just literally could not find the punters a league of pick 6 to anchor. So in the first league, I've gone with Grinner, who was good here last time. Hurricane's a dead set mutter, leading role at his best, right on the mix here. The 13 Maidstone Park is in good nick. Hinipara, go you little girl, the 14 and the 16. This is my big upsetter, Brahma Rama. This is an absolute wet tracker, in off the ballot. Madan Singh with 2 kilos off. Look out for the Go Racing horse to take out the first leg of pick 6.
Bevan. All right, let's move on to leg number 3 here out of Te Rapa, race number 7. Going with Code Cracker. Look, potentially for some, this could be another anchor for this pick 6. A horse who was impressive when winning here 2 starts ago and then just beaten at Tauranga. Other options in the race are the 6 in Cherry Lane, the 3 in Sarah Bande, and I've thrown the 9 into the mix in Red Beach if you wanted something else. Certainly the 10 in Falkirk Lass.
The next leg, race number 7 here at Awapuni. I have a sneaking suspicion that Tell You What will win this particular race, but I am not keen enough to anchor with Helena Baby, our anchor. So Tell You What, the 1, the 5 Shadow Dancer with that great wet track record, senior hooper board, Stephen Marshall, a great draw. Then we're to the 6 Kirkland, who I think is talented, just second up this preparation after chasing home Scarlowy. And then I also put in the 9 in the book, that being Liquid Inspiration, who I think is more than likely going to handle these wet track conditions and therefore a player.
On to race number 8, the 5th league here at Te Rapa, going with number 8 in So Wicked, a horse that has the side winkers on this afternoon and has won out of this venue, So Wicked. So mark that on top. Other runners you need, Wooden Edge dropping back to a rating 65 despite not winning a race since the 15th of July 2017. 4 kilos coming off with Moobs Kareem, and then I've added in the 6 in Leitana, the import first start here. Symbio has taken a lot of support in the race. Anything else that you need? There's plenty of other options. I thought maybe Tuta La Classe, runner number 9, is another option.
And into the last league of pick 6, if you're live here, what do you need? You'd like a ticket with plenty, but the spend at this stage is certainly getting up there. Obsessive may just be the 1, the 4, that's certainly in the mix. I thought Johnny Lincoln will run through the line strongly, big strong horse at home. Dezella's a dead set mutter and should be okay in these track conditions. The 14 foiling for Alan Sherrick with a good second on board last start. If you wanted others, maybe Reyes is a good each way chance, and Lord Turbo certainly has a bit of form on the board. But you can't take them all, Mick. It'll be a 10% pick 6 for mine, so $76 will get you those selections. Best luck with them on a tough old day. But I think it's a great initiative with the TAB, this pick 6, because the fields are getting very difficult to do the form on, and it just makes you cast your eye across the fields that little bit tighter.
Sure does. Thank you, boys. Go get a cup of tea. We're back to business very shortly. Thank you to Stephen Hunt as well. And looking at that graphic, BP and Sweens sounds like a really bad rap group, doesn't it? BP and Sweens. It's got that horrible sound to it, but let's hope they got your pick 6 for you. Stephen, are you allowed to take a pick 6?
Absolutely, Mick. Yeah, we'll have a syndicate running here in the office, and hopefully we can get a part of it, even if it's only 10%. And who knows, it might be only 5 legs. That's the winning result come later on this afternoon.
I've got a question for you. who's the go-to man or woman in the office? Who's the best thoroughbred selector in the office? So when you're having an argument, you go, no, he's our man. Who's the best? Is it you?
No, I'm not going to take the raps. Look, we all have our own day, our day out in the sun, if you want to put it that way. But no, look, I think at the end of the day, we all have our own opinion here in the office, and we come together and we try and narrow down the legs, and it might be down to Helena Baby, but I'm not going to leave out Lord Turbo in the last, Mick. That's my blowout in the pick 6. Back from Hong Kong. It's definitely a group horse. I know I don't tip out too many 8-year-olds. In fact, I'm away from tipping out 8-year-olds at the best of times. But Lord Turbo, I loved its first up run over 1,200 metres. It's had a trial in between. It's on its home track. It will love the heavy 11 track conditions. It's a horse that's won 8 or 9 races in this grade. That's just phenomenal to be put in this grade. I know the handicappers, they struggle to rate horses back from Hong Kong. I think it's well out of its grade in terms of it should be in maybe at least 85 company, Lord Turbo. So around about $14, that's one I'm going to include in the last leg at Alpuni.
Stephen Hunt just used 183 words and did not answer the question I gave him, but thank you, Stephen. We're looking forward to seeing how you guys get on with your pick 6 as well. Valachi, of course, sponsor us, and they have the new stallion coming in, US Navy flag. It's an exciting time for them. They've got State Line in the first on the card at Te Rapa today, 2-year-old, and also Mrs. Beckham out of Posh. Oh, that's pretty cunning. At Flemington in the 5th on the card. Thank you, Valachi. We appreciate what you're doing, and good luck, of course, for the breeding season ahead as bookings start to come through. US Navy flag, if you're looking for a sprinter, could well be one to look into the Coolmore 2-year-old of a couple of seasons ago. Very, very sharp. Okay, strategies for the day. Let's get to Brendan Popwell out of Te Rapa. He's gone Super G as his bestie in the 4th on the card. He likes Anatolia and Vera Drake as a value bet, and his $100 strategies Anatolia, my apologies, race 2, Super G race 4, Vera Drake race 5, and pick 6. He's gone Helena Baby as an all-out option with 4 in the other 2 legs. Bevan Sweeney out of Awapuni with the heavy 11 is the flavour du jour. Has gone Platinum Rapper nice and early, so it's $3 now. If you want to jump on and build that account up, that's his $100 win bet, so just bang, that was easy. Then pick 6, lots, and lots. Potential anchor, if you need one, is Tell You What. I think Obsessive is potentially my anchor for the day, away from Helena Baby in the first leg out of Te Rapa. Ben Ascari joined us from racing.com to go through finals day in Melbourne. He liked the Statesman for Willow, who rode 6 on this day last year. It's in the 2nd on the card. Ribasaki's in a beautiful 2-year-old race. Gee, it's a good one. The Taj Rossi at 2.10 for Paddy Payne, and not a single cent at 4.8 in race 6. And of course, Brad Gray was tipping at Randwick today, where it's been very, very wet for the week. The rail's out a long way here. Could be a day for the leaders. Monsur Sisu for Kathy O'Hara's his bestie in the 4th on the card at 2.7. Kathy also rides Dr. Drill in race 6, and Charatira for Christian Reith in the 8th. Right, lots of information there. Soon we get a chance to put it into practice. Thanks for joining us on the Punters Lounge. On the other side of this break, we go shopping for a winner out of Te Rapa.